Streaming live on WHITradio.org from High Tech High School in North Bergen, NJ. It's the Ladies Room Show. I'm your announcer, Liz, and now your host, Katie.
Good afternoon. I'm your host, Katie, and with me today is Daniela and Liz, and behind the glass we have Max. Today we're going to be talking about domestic abuse. Lately, Ray Rice really caught...
Okay, so many women throughout the years have been abused in many ways, and sometimes we don't catch it because sometimes it's not like popular, or a lot of women like to stay quiet about it. So what are some of your thoughts on women that are abused, and what do you think they should do to like call for help, or like should they keep quiet? Why do you think men abuse women?
They don't get what they want.
Do you think so?
Yeah. And I think some women just let it slide because they love the person so much that they don't know, like, they don't want to speak out about it and ruin.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a matter of being too scared or too involved? You know, I think in some cases, people really are actually too afraid to leave because they feel like someone's going to come and find them and hurt them. And in other situations, it's because they actually think they, like, quote unquote, love the person, or, you know, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's like in the middle, like they're scared, but they're also in love. And I don't know, like, how do you guys think women can actually love these men who hurt them? Like Rihanna, like she went back with Chris Brown after he beat her up, and I mean, he got a lot of a terrible reputation actually, but he like he didn't care. He just brushed it off. But she was the one who suffered out of everything. Like, you heard it through her albums. He was always, like, talking about something else through his music. But she was always talking about how much pain she went through and everything.
I think at one point she did love him, and so that was what was in her head, like, oh, I love him, but she didn't realize that, it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't always know if I think it's such a bad thing that people go back with someone who has hurt in them, because, like, if you think about it, people, get hurt all the time in different ways. Of course, people always look at physical abuse as on a completely different scale, but let's say, like verbal abuse and things like that. People get verbally abused all the time, and then they forgive the person they're with because they love them, and they move on with it. So why is physical abuse so different?
Because I think verbal abuse is the way it starts. Like, that's how they start off. And then when they see that a girl is like, oh, okay, yeah, he can talk to me like that, it's okay, and they let it slide. I mean, if you let it slide once or twice, it's fine. But if he constantly keeps talking to you like that, I wouldn't let it happen. Like, I wouldn't even let it get to physical abuse. Like, once you're verbally abusing me, I'm just never going to talk to you. Like,
it really, like, messes with people's head, like.
Yeah, because you don't know if that's the way they are, or it's them trying to, like, overpower you, or, like, think that they're better than you.
I really think the emotional abuse could be a lot more detrimental than the physical abuse sometimes, because it's completely different. Everything's internal, everything you're feeling.
Yeah, and do you guys think in high school this, like, a lot of people say, oh, that doesn't happen in high school because in high school you're just dating, or, like, it's more on when you get married. But I think it happens a lot more in high school than what people realize.
Yeah, I think it depends on the individual. If you're with an aggressive person, and even not in a relationship, you could have friends, parents, there are tons of different kinds of relationships that can end up having physical abuse in them. And I don't think it matters when or what age, or anything like that. You can't ever say, that's so vague.
Put an age on it.
You can't put an age on it.
Like, but do you guys know of people who it might have happened to them throughout high school?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like, I know people who, like, like, they end up getting married, too. Like, parents, sometimes they end up getting married, but, like, they end up divorced. Like, couples always start off like that, And, like, I feel like women are really, like, nice sometimes and let things go. You get me? And then in the end, they get married and they just start getting frustrated and tired and living a life of, like, abuse, and they just, like, oh, like, that's it, we're getting divorced. But there's other cases like O.J. Simpson and his ex-wife who, like, that case was crazy. Like, it was like the women, his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, she was not like, I think they broke up, and like he came back and killed her, and that was just terrible. Like, but yet people see him as okay, and people still like him, even though like, and since he was even free out of jail, now he's just back because of drugs and stuff like that. But he's free, like he has nothing because of her death, and I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's because of the fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sometimes fame shouldn't like matter as much. Like for Chris Brown too. Like I feel like there should be a strong consequences for men, or even, well, not really women. But
Well, that's
like,
why
I mean,
it's
there are
difficult.
women that are abusive and
Yeah, like even Hope
Crazy.
Solo, she was a soccer player. She like abused her family
Yeah.
members and stuff.
yeah.
And you know,
Those
I mean,
are really rare cases, though.
yeah. But I mean, because they're in the spotlight, so you would think that they would be more disinclined to really, do things like that, to act out. But
Yeah.
I guess some people, it's just ingrained in their mentalities. Some people are just aggressive, and things happen too. In the heat of the moment, people get aggressive. Like, do you think that, let's say like two people are in a relationship, and they've been together for a really long time, and then they get in an argument, and like, let's say the guy hits the girl once, right? Like, is it okay to forgive him for
No.
that?
no.
Personally,
think
if
so?
someone even hit me when someone hits me by mistake, I get extremely mad. Imagine if it was on purpose. Like, I feel when women say like, "Oh, I get beat up," like I feel that a guy wouldn't just start hitting you out of nowhere. Like, there has to be like some type of things that build up to it. Like, maybe at first he started yelling at you and then you let it slide. That's why, honestly, like, I don't let anything slide at all, because then it gets to a level of disrespect, and that's something I feel like no one ever wants to reach.
Because I don't know, I had a friend, and her sister was like with this guy since they were like in the 6th grade, and she was like a senior in high school, and he like walked into her where she worked and punched her in the face on like camera, and after that, like, they broke up for like a couple months, and then they got back together, and now it's like nothing ever happened, and they're happy. And so that's why I don't know if it's always so black and white. Like, if someone hits you, you should never be with them, because
But do you think it'll
maybe-
happen again?
I mean, I guess that's the risk you have to take.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't really know anyone. You could be with someone, like, that could happen, and you could go be with someone else who you don't like, who's nice to you for years and years, and then one day they could end up doing the same thing.
Well, true, but I feel like once a guy hits one girl, I feel like he's gonna hit all the girls. Like, I feel like that's the way
why I
it
don't
works.
necessarily agree. I just think it's
You think?
sometimes people act out of their character.
Yeah, but like, I feel like in order to hit someone and be able like physically hurt them, you have to have some type of like you have to have some type of no pity, because for me to even hit a human being, like, I wouldn't do it.
Well,
I'd feel terrible.
people get aggressive, and then things happen, and some people have anger issues that they were born with, and then they'll end up hitting someone or doing something that's completely out of their character that they wouldn't usually do, or even if they have an anger issue and they work on it, and sometimes they act out on that. I mean, I think it happens. It is
Yeah,
what it
I
is.
mean, like, if you are a girl like who does get abused, I feel you should get help. Like,
Yeah.
anyone that gets abused, like, they should never keep quiet. And I think they do keep quiet because no one ever knows. Like, they don't want to be embarrassed and say like, "Oh, I get hit by my husband or my boyfriend."
Or even
Like-
a family member.
Or
friend, like,
yeah,
It doesn't have to just be.
exactly, yeah. So like,
All right, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. Thank you for watching, and thanks to our panel, Daniela and Liz. Thank you for Max Behind the Glass. I'm Katie, and this is the Ladies Room Show on WHIRadio.org.
Bye.
Bye. W-